So I hope everybody could see the video. Please say you could.
Yes, yes.
So that gives you a little bit of a flavour of who we are, where we are. We are situated in Kent. We are in the beautiful, we're surrounded by 75 acres of beautiful countryside. We're around about 1 hour from Heathrow and about a similar time from Gatwick. And it takes about half an hour to get into London from the train. So that gives you a picture of where we are in the countryside. If Mr. Mossman could share the PowerPoint now, I can hand over to him after just one slide. So Mr. Mossman, if you could go on just to the next slide. So that just shows you where we are in the country. We're really in a really convenient location for families, international families, close to international airports, very close to London, and also close to the coast for access into Europe. And if I could have the next slide. And this just gives you a really quick snapshot of us as a school. We're quite old. We opened our doors in 1886. And we currently have 470 pupils. We actually go from age 3 to age 18, and our prep school, which goes from age 3 to 11, that is becoming a co-educational school. So boys are working their way through. They're currently in year 2. They join year 3 this September, year 4 next September, until the prep school is fully co-educational. However, what's quite unique about us is our senior school and sixth form is girls only. So from 11 to 18, it's girls only, and those girls can board at the school from year 7, from age 11, and we have a lovely modern purpose-built boarding house for those boarders. We have around about between 13 and 15% every year of our pupils are boarders, and the rest are day pupils, and most of those day pupils live very local to the school. And our boarding nationalities are quite mixed and varied. We have boarders from Hong Kong, from China, from Spain, America, Argentina, Singapore, South Africa, Thailand, and also a big proportion of our boarders also British boarders, and they could either be full or weekly, but we also offer flexi boarding. So during the week, a lot of our day pupils will be in the boarding house for maybe 1, 2 or 3 nights a week, which is a really popular option for them. As Mr. Mossman is going to come on and talk about, and I'm not going to spend much time, we do really well. Our academics are really strong. And thank you for mentioning the value added, Dr. Allo. It's a really important thing to remember because, you know, grades are grades, but there's behind every single grade, there's a really interesting story about how that girl got to the grades that she got to. So we do well at A level. Over 30% of our grades are the very top A level grades, and over 50% of the very top grades at GCSE. And a big part of that is we have small class sizes. And as you mentioned, Dr. Allo, it's about knowing every single individual pupil, their strengths, their weaknesses, and really helping them become the best version of themselves they can be. And it does put us into a very high percentage of schools in the UK for value added. And as you saw, hopefully from the video, we are surrounded by 75 acres of absolutely beautiful countryside. And what we would say to any family is please come and see us, because as you see, you get a very warm welcome to Kent College, but also you can feel the spirit and soul of the school when you step inside those doors. So that's me done. I'm going to hand over to Mr. Mossman now, who's going to talk about how we do all of this.
Well, I think it's been done largely for me now. So thank you, Dr. Allo. You did such a brilliant job. So my name's James Mossman. I'm Deputy Head Academic, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our philosophy of education and how it manifests itself in our curriculum. For me, really, there are sort of 3 strands that I want to talk about today, and that is care for the individual, because, and I think Dr. Allo touched on it, the individual here is absolutely essential for us. We recognise every pupil as an individual and we want to develop them as such. We are absolutely about getting excellent exam results. As much as we might talk about value added, you really have to get the excellent results as well. But also we're about caring to make a difference, be that be developing your child's confidence, or be it making them make massive progress in terms of those exam results, as has already been talked about. So I'm going to talk about these 3 levels, these 3 things, but I would stress that underpinning them all is care. And while my job is academic and I'm all about graphs and data and really exciting things like that, underpinning this is that thought that every child is an individual and we want to look after them. We want to make sure they're happy and enjoying their education, because that is absolutely crucial for us. So I'm just going to go on to a little bit about what I mean by caring for the individual. This is your sort of average class size in the UK. It's about 32 normally in a class size in the UK. In a state school, particularly many independent schools, you still find that number. And what you really don't want is you don't want your child to be that child at the back who's a little bit ignored. The teacher probably doesn't know their name. They can't really, the teacher doesn't know what they're really interested in, and they can't build that really crucial relationship that is going to help your child develop. Because it's the interactions between teachers and pupils that really lift the education. Learning is an emotional process. It's about feeling like you know the teacher and the teacher knows you. And that's not what we're about. We're about smaller class sizes where everyone's an individual, where everyone can be supported and pushed and encouraged to be themselves. We do not let children stand on their heads at Kent College, even though there's a picture of it there. But we are about the child being themselves. And I think that means if they're happy, they know that they're recognised as being an individual and encouraged to be themselves, then they're going to thrive. They're going to do so much better. And that brings itself across onto the curriculum. And there are 3 strands to our curriculum that really underpin what we do. At the bottom there, we've got future ready, because I think the career market is going to be changing fundamentally over the next few years. AI is coming in. I was at a very important conference at Microsoft yesterday about that. It's going to change everything. So we need to be ensuring that our pupils have an education that is enabling them to be ready for that environment. So future readiness is crucial for us. But also underpinning that, we want it to be broad, because we think they need to have a rich experience, because at particularly young age, they don't really know what they want to be often. There may be a few that do, but on the whole, they need to discover what they're going to be. So they need to have a rich, broad curriculum to start off with. But we also recognise that it needs to be personalised, bespoke. So it's actually meeting their needs as an individual. So it's a bit of a paradox. We want it to be broad, but we also want it to be individualized. And that is a bit of a careful juggling act, which I think we do extremely well. So there are 3 key strands. So onto the future curriculum, really. What are we looking at when we talk about that? At the heart of that, and this is actually number 6, but it's at the top there, is a focus on global citizenship. We have a global community here at Kent College, but that is now underpinning our curriculum more and more and more. So, for instance, next year in Year 9, we have a subject called global citizenship, but it's part of a kind of an umbrella of subjects. So history and geography and the sciences are all feeding into global citizenship, looking at consistent strands, things that really matter for the today's market, things like sustainability, um, equality, diversity, all these things are going to be discussed as part of the whole curriculum. So it's a really exciting, unique package that we're offering. And hopefully within the year, we'll have our own unique Kent College diploma in global citizenship. That's something we're working on. Underneath that, we've got deep knowledge, because you have to have a rich knowledge. You can't just sort of thin a veneer of knowledge. We have to give the children a very rich, deep, academic, rigorous knowledge if they're going to have these deep, important discussions. We want them, though, to be innovative and creative, and that is something we do exceptionally well at Kent College. Our creatives are second to none. Our art, our drama, our music, absolutely exceptional. We want them to be able to develop interpersonal skills. And this is the sort of things that AI can never do. It can never really show empathy or interaction the way. And that's where humans are always going to have a role to play. And we're all about the interpersonal skills, helping them interact with each other, work together, be part of a community, collaborate. These are all really crucial things. Alongside that, we want them to have technological skills. They need to be able to use a laptop. They need to be able to use the technology that they're going to be doing. That's why we are going to be looking at how we're using AI in the classroom moving forwards. So, we can't avoid these things. We have to sort of embrace it and teach them to use it properly. And really underpinning of this all is collaboration, because this shows the biggest impact on learning. In fact, if pupils are working together, which is something again that AI can't do, it raises the degree of creativity, innovation, excitement, curiosity. So that's what we're really hoping to draw more and more and more on, that the pupils work together, and they're doing it on their own computers or they're doing it in the class, but they're working together to develop and create their own knowledge. And it's exciting and engaging. So this is the future. That's the sort of an overview of where we're going with our curriculum moving forwards. Just to give you a picture of where we are at the current model list, for year 7 to 9, we have 18 subjects. And as I said, breadth, it being broad, is so important, because at that age, they often don't know what they want to study, what excites them. So we need to give them the experience of it. And within that, we have some very traditional subjects like Latin, like obviously music and science and all those sort of things. So we have the traditional subjects, but we also have the future focused subjects as well. So we have computer science, we have the creatives, drama and textiles. Dance is part of the curriculum as well. So it's both traditional and it's rich, it's creative, and it's future focused as well. And it's very, very broad. As we move through to GCSE, starting that in year 10, we do start some subjects in year 9. We bring in new subjects, so subjects like business, classical civilization, giving a rich cultural understanding, some more traditional subjects like ancient Greek, but definitely things like further maths and dance. New subjects being brought in because we think they have to have a broad range of subjects, because if they have a passion about something, we want to enable them to follow it. And as we move through to A level, even more subjects on offer: psychology, photography, politics, and a whole wide range of offer. So the key thing is that we're giving our pupils the opportunity to study something if they want to do it. If they're interested in doing it, we're trying to give it to them, because that's their passion. And if they're passionate about something, they're more likely to excel in it. But how do we just make it more bespoke? How do we personalize it for our pupils? And this is something I think unique for us. So at GCSE, which is obviously the first exam year in year 10, a lot of schools will make you have to choose from various option blocks. They'll say pick one from A, B, C, or D. And that can really restrict people's choices. It means if they want to do textiles and they want to do Latin, for instance, that's not going to often work, because they might be in the same block. Well, we don't do it like that. We say to the pupils, you choose what you want to do. We have free choice of whatever GCSEs you want to do, and we will do everything we possibly can to make that work, which means that the pupils are actually directing the timetable, not us dictating it to them, which means that they're able to study the things that they're really, really passionate about. They're more excited, they're more engaged, and they do palpably better because of it. So it's a highly bespoke process. Now, there are going to be some students that do exceptionally well and are really engaged and really driven for certain subjects. So we offer a range of scholarships alongside that as well. We offer academic scholarships. We have art, drama, dance, PE as well, music. If you have any questions about those, do ask me later on. But they're very exciting packages, particularly the offer that goes alongside them. But of course, there's not just scholarships. There's a huge range of other opportunities out there. Sport and drama, as I've already mentioned, are absolutely exceptional. Last night we had our performance of Edwin Drood, a huge, the lavish, lush musical, wasn't it? And it was hilarious. It was absolutely brilliant. I think Mrs. Ward was there as well, wasn't he? And we just had a really great evening. And it's of a very high level of production, almost like West End level of production values, which I think you just don't see in normal schools. Our sport is also second to none. We are actual plate champions. We're national champions for hockey for the last 2 years running. So we're operating at a very, very high level there as well. But aside from all those things, there's a massive range of clubs that are open to the girls. That's just a snapshot of what we've got going on one single week. Maybe your daughter plays an instrument. Maybe she wants to join our Seroptimist International group looking about women's rights. Maybe they want to do classic club. Maybe she wants to do photography. Maybe she wants to go to Christian club. Maybe she wants to go to Chatterbooks. Maybe she wants to just join Chocolate Club. I'm not sure what happens at Chocolate Club, but I have a clue possibly what's going on there. But it means there's a huge range of things for them to do. Science clubs, there's I think 3 science clubs running on any single week. There's now an astronomy club. I think this week as well, they launched their flying club. So they're actually learning to fly model aeroplanes. They're building the planes and they're actually flying them, which is just fantastic, isn't it? So it's a huge range of things for them to do, which brings me on to my second area, because if they're having a fantastic and enjoyable time in their learning, they're excited about their subjects, it shows in their results. The pupils do much better. And our GCSE results are exceptional. So here we are, GCSE results, and these do change year on year. The way that we graded the UK, we've got levels 1 to 9, with 9 being the top grade. It's very, very hard to get a 9 in any subject. It's normally about 4% nationally that get a level 9. We operate normally between 16% and 21% as a sort of range for our level 9. So we're way, way, way above the national average in terms of our grades at that level. And I think it's important to note as well that we are a mixed ability cohort. We're not super, super selective, but we're still coming out with these amazing results. So if you look at that, with over 20% of grades were level 9 in English, food tech, geography, history, PE, music, and Spanish. Absolutely exceptional results. And 9 to 7 is the equivalent of A grades. So over half of all girls, of half of all grades, came out at that top level last year. So we're very, very pleased with those. So the details of that, if you look at the pupils themselves, 40% of last year's cohort got the equivalent of straight A's. 78% of all pupils got at least 1, 8, or 9, which is the old A star level. So nearly every pupil got an A star equivalent, and 10% of pupils last year got straight A's and 8s and 9s, which is straight A star equivalent, which is as high as you can go. They're exceptional. They're Oxbridge level entry scores. They're getting into Oxford and Cambridge. So we're doing very, very well at GCSE. At A level, a similar picture. If you look at the picture there, A star to A, 30%, a good percentage of those at A star, 50% of grades were A star to A in sciences, the creative subjects as well, most grades were in the A star to A realm, humanities, languages exceptional, French, Spanish, and Chinese all getting A star to B. So we're doing very, very well at A level, and that leads to some fantastic destinations as well. Our girls are going onto Russell Group in the main. But the good news about that is that the vast majority of our girls go on to the subject, the location of their choosing. I think it's 85% get their top choice. And I think the last year it was 95% got their first or second choice, which means they get to the universities that they want to go to, which is just brilliant. A whole wide range there from UK universities, from St Andrews to Durham to Cambridge to Warwick, all exceptionally high level performing universities. So we do very, very well at that level as well. Which brings me on to my final point, really, and this is the sort of caring to make a difference. And I think we've already touched on this a little bit, because this is where the value added comes in. But what we do is we ask the pupils every year, what is it? What is it that makes a difference? What is it that we're doing that helps you do better than you probably would have done elsewhere? And these are some of the words that we got from a survey that I run every year, from last year, in fact. But this is the words that the pupils have said to me. Why are the teachers here special? Because they believe in me, because they're friendly. They're able to build that really positive relationship with their teacher. They feel that they're respected by their teacher. The teachers take the time. They're not rushing through. If a pupil doesn't know something, they take the time to ensure them that they've got it, to maybe go back over it, ensure that it's covered. They encourage me. They make the child believe that they can do it. They're kind. And that's so important. The kindness is absolutely crucial. And they're there when they're struggling. If they're finding things difficult, they know they can go to a member of staff here and they will get the help. Virtually every single lunchtime here, we have study supports, extra sessions being run by teachers. That's not normal lessons. A huge range of extra support sessions are available for the pupils if they want it. But what's the consequence of that? Well, we've mentioned value added a bit. Just explain how that actually works. So in year 10, we sit a standardized test which gives us predicted scores for GCSE that say, well, this is what this child is likely to get at GCSE. And then we can compare that to the actual scores they do get at GCSE. And what this shows is that we're making a measurable impact for pupils. In most cases, it's around about towards a grade of value added per subject. So that's the equivalent of a student arriving with us possibly being predicted all sixes, Bs, and coming out with mostly As. And that can make a massive impact on that child's opportunities. So 50% of all pupils got one grade higher in all subjects. 25% of our pupils, that's a quarter of our pupils, went up by 2 whole grades in terms of their performance. That's the equivalent of going from a C to an A. That is exceptional. And it's actually, if you look at it where we are, sorry, I'll go ahead of myself. If you look at that nationally, in some subjects, we are the top school across the country. For English, we are the top school. We come top year on year in terms of value added for English. I think last year we were second for history. I think we were second for PE, for geography, and a range of other subjects. Food technology, we're regularly the top subject, the top school in the country. So we are outperforming the vast majority of schools in terms of our performance, in terms of helping pupils make progress. And as Dr. Allo said, that is the most important thing when you're looking for a school, because if a student is very, very able and they come out with good grades, the school can have done nothing. What you want to see is that every child has made progress, that they've moved up the ladder a little bit. And that's what we're all about. Just to top that all off, really, a couple of things. We did have last year an inspection. So the independent schools are inspected by a group called ISI, and they are a tough organization. They do not give out their grades in a friendly, easy manner. And they grade you in two areas. They grade you on academics and they grade you on pastoral care. And the good news is that last year, and this is actually right at the end of last academic year, so this is quite fresh, we were awarded excellent in both areas. We could not have done better. And I think if that's the kind of the stamp of how well we're doing, I think it shows a lot of what is a successful school to come to. If they recognise that pupils here are making rapid progress, they identify that our pupils are creative in their artistic and aesthetic subjects. They recognise the positive attitude towards learning in our pupils. And they recognise also that our pupils are highly confident and well prepared for the next stage of their lives. So that's enough from me. I'm sorry if I've gone on too fast, but I'm going to hand over to Minnie now, who's going to talk about the broader boarding and things like that. So any questions, do feel free to ask.
Thank you, Mr. Mossman. I hope you can all hear me. So my name is Minnie Sabanda and I'm the admissions manager for Kent College. So I'm probably one of the first people that you'll come in contact with when you do contact us, hopefully in the future. And I hope you've enjoyed learning all about our academic excellence and how we achieve the grades that we do and how we also achieve our value added. But let's move on to the boarding side of things and what you can expect if your daughter is to join us at Kent College. So my colleague Sarah mentioned at the beginning that our boarding house is for the ages of 11 all the way to 18. Now that's from year 7 all the way to year 13. We have a modern purpose-built building, which usually has rooms of 2, 3 bedrooms. Now, as your daughter moves through the school and goes into the senior years, they can expect to perhaps have a single bedroom, which has an ensuite as well. Now, when your child does first join us, they can expect to be buddied up with another student. And we find that this is a nice way to ease them into that boarding life. And remember, it's a new environment and we're trying to grow students who are confident and have those strong bonds with the other students. And we find that this works really well. And also remember that throughout the admissions process, we're getting to know your daughter. What does she like? What are her strengths? What are her weaknesses? And we're pairing her up with someone who we feel will complement her in all the right ways. So, you know, some students will come in and they're very shy. And actually, it might work very well to be with another bold student who brings that side out of them as well. We offer flexible exit weekends. So this means that on those weekends, your child doesn't have to leave the school, which is really nice. And they'll have many activities to take part in with other students who are also staying. One thing to point is that we do expect your child to have that guardian with who will hopefully look after them on the holidays when they do have to leave, or they can go back home. But on the flexible exit weekends, they can stay. We also have experienced boarding house staff. So your child will have a house mistress who is there for them through everything. And they'll also have their tutors, they'll have the pastoral team. Part of this pastoral team is what we call student managers. Now, the student managers are there for your child and their well-being. Mr. Mossman touched base on why we do what we do academically and how we achieve the grades that we achieve. But also remember that pairs up with having a healthy, happy child. So if you have that healthy, happy child who's thriving, not only academically, but also in terms of their well-being, those two things go together very, very well. And that's how we achieve the academic side of things as well. Now, unfortunately, we're not physically in the school, but I do have some lovely photos to show you of our boarding house. And I'll go through those slides and I'll explain a little bit more about what to expect and also the activities that we have on offer should you decide to join Kent College. So in our boarding house, we actually have two kitchens, one which is an allergy kitchen and one which is non-allergy. Now, the students, we obviously provide all the catering, but they are able to go into the local Asda and buy their own snacks, which a lot of the students do thoroughly enjoy, might I add. A sense of independence. On to the next slide, please, Mr. Mossman. So this is a snapshot of one of the bedrooms. So again, one of the main points to make is this is an experience and it's a once in a lifetime experience. And that's the best way I can explain the boarding experience. We're trying to make sure that the girls are having all the fun. They're doing very well academically, but also it's about lifestyle. So you can see these beds are very well made. I think much better than I can do, I must say. So that's something to expect. And those are some of the life skills that we teach at Kent College. On to the next, please, Mr. Mossman. So this is one of the lounge areas, which again, you can see that after school, the girls will get their homework done. They might go change, have dinner, and then they also do have that time to relax and bond and have chats. Everything that you can expect young girls to be doing, they get to do in a home away from home. On to the next slide, please. Again, a nice snapshot of our lovely kitchen. And I think this is the allergy kitchen, should your child have any allergies that we need to know about. And on to the next. So boarding life. Now, as I said, boarding is a once in a lifetime experience, and we try to make it as enjoyable as we can for your children. We know that it's a time where, you know, they're separated from you, but we want them to feel at home with us. Now, they can expect to be taken on many cultural excursions. We want to immerse them into the British culture. So they will be, they should expect to be going on trips into London. My colleague Sarah mentioned that we are less than an hour away from central London. So we are fortunate enough to be able to take those trips into the city. We have charity balls, we have Christmas lunches. The students, the boarding community is a very close-knit community, we find. And this is a chance for them to grow friendships. And some of the students have grown friendships of a lifetime. I mean, some of our alumni students, will still come back and still visit many years after they've left. And that's the sense of community that we have at Kent College. Moving on to the next slide, please. So looking at some of the weekly activities. So this is just an example of what your child might expect throughout the week. So something like a chilled movie night on a Monday after having done all the homework. Tuesday, crafts. So maybe face painting, nail art, beauty night. I mean, these are young girls and all of this kind of stuff does matter. A Wednesday, maybe a tech-free evening. Now, this is something that's really important. So when it comes to phones, we are very much aware that this is something that is a big thing in today's generation, but we want to make sure that the students are taking part in as many activities that take away from, being on the internet and social media. They can expect to be part of sports and fitness. So we encourage a lot of sports at Kent College. Gym, volleyball, netball, whatever your child is into, we encourage them to do regularly. And then, of course, a grocery shop. As I mentioned before, this is a very fun activity for the girls. And I guess it's a sense of independence as well. So they can, so we have a mini bus service, which will take them to Asda. And in Asda, they can buy a few snacks that they enjoy maybe after dinner. So that's always a nice little point to make there. On to the next slide, please. Again, some more photos of some of the activities that the students take part in. So you can see a bit of working out going on there in the corner, some pamper nights, hot chocolate nights, the charity balls. So just expect that I'm sure your children will never have a moment of boredom should they come to Kent College. Again, theme parks, mini golf, canoeing, museums, castles, it's endless. And yeah, so I'm sure that they they get a sense of always being busy, and we enjoy that for them. Next slide. Okay, so this is the process and what to expect if you were to inquire and go through the admissions process at Kent College. So it starts off with an application. So everything can be done on our website. Now, the application form then also is followed by the registration fee of £150. Once we have those, we will then move on to the assessment stage. Now, this is all done online, so it can be done from Nigeria. And this is an English and a maths test. Following the assessment, we will then arrange an interview with our head of international studies, Mrs. Field. Now, the interview is not just for the students. I mean, it's not just for Mrs. Field. It's also for the students to ask any questions that they have, and perhaps for you as the parents to also ask any questions. It's for us to get to know you, but for you to also to get to know us as well. Once we've done the assessments and the interviews, we can then move on to hopefully offering a place. For you to accept that place, you'd have to sign the contract and send it back to us along with the deposit. We then will work with our third-party immigration consultants, Newland Chase. Now, we will send off the CAS, which will then allow you to then go ahead and apply for your visa. Now, they work with you every step of the way. Any questions that you have, they are experts and they will guide you through the whole process. Now, guardians, you must have a guardian for your child who lives within an hour of Kent College. Now, this is really, really important. So I did mention this earlier. So we have our flexible exit weekends, but on the longer holidays, we would expect your child to either perhaps come back home or go live with a guardian for that period of time. And we will do the necessary checks in regards to guardians. If you've got any questions in regards to guardians, please do let us know and we can answer them. Now, after all of that, we then will send you the new joiner forms. Now, this again is all the information that we need to know about your daughter. So from medical to all your information in terms of address, contact details, and that's very important. So that's also part of us getting to know your child and how we can best tailor their experience. And then thereafter is the welcome. So the welcome is a well-planned induction. We work alongside academic, well-being, medical, to make sure that that experience is as smooth and as lovely as possible for your daughter. They will be buddied up. And again, that will be with someone that we think is fitting. And hopefully that allows for a really nice transition into the boarding life. Next slide. Thank you. Now, why choose KC? Now, I mean, I will talk you through some of the points that we have here, but as you will know, we are a girls only senior and sixth form. Now, this, from my experience, and I will share a bit of my experience, I am a product of a girls only school. I've never learned with boys, fun fact, except for university. But Girls only allows for focused learning environment. We think that there's a lot less distractions to think about or for your child to be focusing on. And it allows them to really kind of explore their interests with taking away from gender stereotyping so they can look into the types of sports that they're into. I mean, recently we've had a boost of students that are really into football and they're excelling. We're one of the top schools for hockey. And these are the, girls who are passionate and they can do that freely amongst each other. We've also found that the bond that the girls build when it is just them is next to none. And these are students that go on to remain friends and attend each other's weddings. And this is something that we find, is beautiful to see. We have a personalized approach, as Mr. Mossman has talked you through. Excellent results, including value added. Wide range of extracurricular activities, as I've just talked you through. Outstanding facilities, and I hope that we can actually show you these facilities in person one day, should you choose to come over and visit. And a beautiful and convenient location, as mentioned earlier. Now, I will leave you with a quote from the Good Schools Guide to read. I just want to say thank you very much for taking time on this Saturday to come and learn more about Kent College. We are excited to hopefully get to know you all better. We're excited to welcome you to Kent College, hopefully sometime soon, ideally in the summer months, because that's when it's most pretty. But yes, thank you. And at this point, we welcome any questions that you may have.
Wow, wow, wow. That was amazing. A really, really rich presentation, giving us great insights into Kent College, Pembury. Just before I ask some questions, because I like to start with the questions, giving parents time to ask questions because they were obviously listening. And I could tell our parents were listening intently because our parents have stayed on. I want to encourage our parents to please use the Q&A chat box section because apparently some parents have sent me messages saying they couldn't chat with the chat function. So please use the Q&A box. Hopefully that should work okay for you. I'm suspecting that it may be because we're streaming on YouTube at the same time. I don't know if that's causing the issue, but hopefully I'll be able to ask some key questions I know that many of you have on your mind. So please do try the Q&A chat box and let me know how you get on with that. So once again, thank you for that rich presentation. I have 4 questions I have written down. So I'll say all 4 questions and then I'll hand over to Mr. Mossman, Minnie, and Mrs. Ward to answer. So just like you, Minnie, I went to an all-girls school as well. And I really enjoyed my experience there. Thankfully, many Nigerian families, many Ghanaian families, many West African families do have a healthy appreciation for an all-girls education. So we get it, we like it, and you'll continue to see us in that setting. What I want to ask in that regard is, how would you say Kent College differs from the popular ones? Because many of our families just know the popular names. So they know the Benedictines of this world, or Wickham Abbey, Down House. Those are the popular ones. Those are the ones that turn out the best results. And that's what many of our families know. And that's why it always gives me great pleasure to bring a school like Kent College to these families and say, hang on, I know you've seen all these great schools, but there's some other amazing all-girls schools that you really want to have a good look at. So the first question would be, how would you say Kent College Pembury differs from the popular lot, as it were? The second question has to do with scholarships. Scholarships is a big one for our families because we've had quite a stretch of an economic situation with our foreign exchange. So it's placed, so parents are essentially spending double what they would have spent this time last year on fees, and many of them do earn in Naira or some other West African backed currency. So the scholarships really go a long way because as international families, they can't exactly apply for a bursary. So I guess scholarships are a way of helping them financially. But at the same time, for those families who have girls who are fantastic at music, academics, sports, drama, in different ways, they can get to give those girls that opportunity as well. Because scholarships, again, are not all about the financial remission, but the prestige of having a scholarship. So I'm sure our families would appreciate knowing more about the scholarship opportunities on offer, the financial remission it carries, and what the girls get exposed to, particularly as they're scholars already. They want to know their children, their daughters are being pushed even further, and what else, what is done within that scholarship offering. Now, I have a question on boarding, and I think your boarding is amazing. Like, to have an allergy kitchen, a kitchen dedicated to, those girls who have allergies, phenomenal. Like, such level of great thought being given to that. Now, some of our families are starting to come into the idea of prep schools, and the fact that the year 7s and the 8s board separately. Like the older ones in the prep school, and sometimes they worry about what that looks like in an 11 to 18 school. So if you could just please shed some more light on what year 7 and year 8, the boarding experience is like for them. I know you talked about how they're paired in 2 rooms, but they're new. Many of them are new to boarding. They're young, starting to gain that level of independence. What does that look like? How are they settled in? And my fourth and final question for now, and hopefully, I don't know if you've had any Q&A yet, there might be an issue with that, is my suspicion, but I think my questions will hopefully have covered for many of the parents. The final question is on late applications. So for this September, so I know that the timeline is already done and dusted for 2024 to a large extent, but just in case we had any late last minute year 7s, what would that look like? Or should we just, is that full, and should we just be looking at 2025 onwards? I yield the mic, and it's over to the team at Kent College, Pembury.
Well, thank you, Dr. Arlo. I'm going to throw the questions out to the rest of the team, actually. So I'm going to go to Mr. Mossman, because I think a lot of what you said actually really does support why we are different from other girls' schools. So I don't know whether you'd like to address that question first.
I think there are some very, very good independent schools in England. There's no doubt about that. And I think sometimes it's very hard to bottle exactly what it is that sets a school apart. And the best way you can do it is to actually go and see the school. I mean, there's no way to do it otherwise, because a lot of it's in the attitude, the feel of the classes when you go into them. I think if you would go back to that Good Schools Guide quote that Minnie had, I think it's about an injection of optimism. I love that quote for them. Bold, courageous, resilient learning. So it's this kind of, we are just a little bit different from some of those schools that might be a bit more traditional and maybe just a little bit not moving forwards in the way they should be, because that's the way they've always done it. Whereas I think we're free enough to be all about the individual child, to maybe offer a curriculum that's just slightly more future focused. Well, obviously we've got the very small class sizes. And I think because we're so focused on value added, I think that's a crucial difference, because a lot of those schools will just be about, look at our amazing results. But as I said in my presentation, if pupils are turning up with sort of predictions of getting top grades and they're still getting top grades, the school can be doing very, very little to achieve that. Whereas we have a broader range of ability, but we've still got pupils coming out with those exceptional results. And that, for me, sets us apart. That shows that something special is going on. And I would go back to the value added, one particular detail. We are the top school in the entirety of the country for adding value in a whole range of subjects. So that sets us apart. So if you can just look at the raw data, and our grades are very, very good, theirs may be slightly better, but they are much more maybe selective, and they're maybe doing less to get those pupils across the finish line. So I think I would say with confidence that, what we're doing, that the smaller school, the fact that we know every pupil so much better, it's all about the relationships with the teachers, and the fact that we're all about helping the individual make progress. I think that absolutely sets us apart. I think an exceptional school in that regard, I think.
Can I just say 2 things there, following what you've just said? I think there are 2 other things that come out that, and I know Minnie touched on this when she talked about her own personal experience, is the confidence. that you instill in these young people, that they, especially being in an all-girls environment in the senior and sixth form, they are free to be themselves and explore whoever they want to be. And I think it does, and there's a lot that goes in the school, and we see it, and Miss Mossman and I watched the production last night. There are some students that performed in that production. Their performance was just off the scale brilliant, but they arrived at the school as these quite shy, timid year sevens who would never have dreamed of setting foot on the stage, let alone singing in front of a packed house and delivering jokes with amazing comic timing. So there's something that happens, there's a bit of a magic that happens within the school that helps really instill confidence in these wonderful young people. And I think the other thing, and there's another good schools quote that we haven't used in this presentation, and it talks about a school that's bubbling with compassion. You know, we're a very kind and compassionate community, and we both a community within the school, and I think you felt that when you came to see us. It's a warm, friendly, welcoming, kind, happy community of individuals, which is amazing to see. But beyond that, we have very much an outward focus, looking at the world beyond our bubble of a school, getting involved with local projects, working with other schools, local outreach projects. And I think that sort of focus on community is sort of one of the three sort of pillars of the success we achieve. And all the three of them go hand in hand. And I think we do that incredibly well as a school.
I would underline that the pastoral care is exceptional. I think Millie mentioned that we use student managers. Just to give a bit more detail on that, these are members of staff who aren't teaching staff. Their only job is to be there for the pupils. If there's any issues, they're there just to get in there, help the pupils work it out. And it means that we are constantly monitoring, and our communication with families is second to none as well. If there is an issue, we will be in touch, and we're very, very open for parents to be in touch with us, to be in touch with teachers. There's definitely a two-way communication going on, and it makes a massive difference. Yeah.
Mr. Mossman, do you want to talk a bit about scholarships and the programmes?
Yeah, so the scholarships are there's a fixed reduction for scholarships. We offer two types of scholarship. In fact, there's the financial scholarship, that's the standard scholarship, and then we have exhibitions, which are offering the package but not the financial reduction. I think it's really important to look at both the financial reduction and the package as well, because both have value in themselves. So let's take as an example our PE scholarships. They are based on, obviously there's a financial reduction, but then the pupil is also getting one-to-one fitness training. They're getting an individual mentor who's there to meet with them on a weekly basis, to guide them through, to help them with their training, what their training demands are. But also, this is where it's probably, I don't think anybody else does this, they're there to help them manage their academic commitments alongside their sporting commitments. And that's often the case when you've got people who are operating at an exceptional level in any discipline. It's hard to get the balance right between, I'm going out training every night. Well, how are you getting your homework done? So actually having a member of staff who's there to sort of say, right, we're going to plan out your homework for this week, that makes a massive impact. So yes, there's the fitness training and the teams and all that sort of stuff, but it's actually the fact that there's a person who's there guiding them and individually mentoring them. That makes a massive difference. From an academic scholarship, similar picture. They have regular meetings with their academic mentor. They also have bi-weekly what we call halo lectures, where we actually get to discuss things that are not the sort of standard thing you get on the curriculum. So a few weeks ago, we did time travel. They've done a session on the origins of yoga. I've done a session on linguistics recently. So you're getting to study things, to explore things that you just wouldn't normally get to study in a standard curriculum. And that's to fire up the imagination of these girls. And that all builds towards a big project at the end of the year. We've got it's a TED project, so the pupils have to create their own TED Talks. Last year they did on the pay gap between men and women. I think this year they're doing the politicization of the Olympics. And this is year 7 girls dealing with some really quite meaty issues. So it's not just the financial reduction, it is also the package that goes alongside it. And it's really important to look at both of those things. But yes, there is a financial reduction, which then the actual figure has gone out of my head. I think it's 2,000. What is it? 2,000, Mrs.
2,000.
It's 2,000.
£2,000 reduction on fees if you're awarded a scholarship.
Great.
Is that per term or per annum?
Per annum.
Per annum. Okay.
Per annum.
Your third question about boarding and the experiences that the year sevens and eights have. It's just one point there is that a lot of prep schools where we operate in are actually do go to year 8, so they're considered prep. We sort of make a slightly different, we have a different split where our students join in year 7 and they're actually part of the senior school. So we don't have, as prep schools might have boarders coming from year 4 to year 8. We don't. Our boarders just start from year 7. I don't know, Minnie, if you want to talk a little bit about the years, sort of the activities for year 7 and 8 and 9, who are considered our younger junior boarders, because they're in a different part of their educational journey as the older boarders who are focusing more on their GCSE and A-level results.
Yeah, of course. I think one thing to note is that actually it's quite a nice, although we're focusing on the younger years, but it's nice to note that they actually grow bonds with the senior school children, and you'll see throughout school they're all hanging around together, which is something you don't normally or would usually see. However, with the younger boarders, one thing that we want to make sure is that they're well nurtured and they do feel like they've got that home away from home, as I mentioned before. So the activities, like in some of the photos, as you would have seen, things like pamper nights, hot chocolate nights, things like that, which are age appropriate, we find. And actually they feel, I guess, they have that sense of home from doing those kind of activities. But yeah.
And I think the other thing, what we've done for the younger years, we've started to introduce sort of themed nights where they're joined by their friends who might just be day pupils. So just recently, the year 7s were invited for I think it was a pamper nights where they did face masks and all manner of things. So it wasn't just the boarders in year 7. They actually, a whole group of day pupils from year 7 joined them on a flexi board. So we have themed evenings that encourage our day pupils to experience a bit of boarding life, because as Minnie said, boarding life is very special and it's a real bond and a real community in itself, and to allow our day pupils to be part of that as well, it's really important. It just shows that the two, whether you're a boarder or whether you're a day pupil, you're just part of the Kent College community. We operate completely as one. And just to point out, for the boarders, the older boarders, as they get into years 10 and above, where they're really focusing on their exams, their GCSEs and A-levels, their evenings, they have a little bit more freedom and flexibility in that their evenings will probably be spent studying. So they're either going to be in their bedroom studying or in the study rooms or maybe in the library. And there's always tutor help and support for those pupils in those older years. So the younger pupils might have more structured, weekly or daily activities to help them sort of decompress from school life and have a bit of fun. The older pupils, they'd have to learn to manage their time because they are much more focused on their studies as they get into those years. And the final question about late applications, I mean, it is a little bit late in the day, but where we have space in year groups, we can accept applications. Obviously, for our international pupils, most of it is done online. If they're in the country, that's fabulous. We're happy to meet them and have them do a taster day at school, but most of the international applications are done online and it's an online interview. So if there are any inquiries for most year groups, not all of them, for September, then we're really happy to have any conversations with families about what they're looking for and the timeframes. And Minnie and the team are brilliant at making those things happen. So please don't feel that they can't talk about applications for September 24. But obviously, looking ahead, the earlier you can get an application in is obviously the better.
Amazing. Thank you all so much. So we have 2 questions in the Q&A box. Actually, so one of the parents did raise his hand, but he's asked the question. So the first question is, and I guess this person may have missed the first part of the presentation, but I know this was answered. What is the population of the school? And also, what is the current percentage of international students? And the second question is, please, how much is the fee per term? And will there be flexibility in terms of a payment plan?
Okay, well, the current population of the total school, 3 to 18, is 470. In the senior school, Minnie, remind me, it's about 360.
In total?
Yeah, senior.
Yes, 365.
Yeah. They're 365, so that's the total from year 7 to 11. And around about, I mean, about 15% of the school is made up with international pupils, maybe a little bit more because we do have international pupils who are day pupils, so their families have moved over to the UK, relocated close to the school. So between 15 and 20% will be made up with our international pupils, whether they are boarders or part of our day pupil community. The fees, depending on what you're looking at, if it's a full boarding fee, that's £13,500 per term. The weekly boarding fee, if you were living in the UK and you wanted your daughter just to board weekly, that's £11,500. And the day fee is about £9,000. And with regard to sort of flexibility with the fees, it's quite a difficult one because we don't necessarily offer discounts. We do offer a discount for siblings. So if there's more than one child at the school, there is a sibling discount. Sometimes there might be sort of funds available through Methodist organisations or through the armed forces. The scholarships will offer a degree of fee remission as well.
Okay, I'll just allow him to speak. Mr. Fami, hopefully that has answered your question, because I know you raised your hand before. Would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, that's perfect. Got the answers quite all right. Thank you very much. It's okay.
Amazing. Thank you. Great. Wow. What an amazing morning. Like, we've literally kept to time. Our parents have stayed on the call. So definitely they found this very, very insightful. Mr. Mossman, thank you so much for the depth of information you gave with regards to the academic excellence at Kent College, Pembury, because fundamentally that's what a school does and should deliver on. And you've really given us a rich insight to that. And for many of our families, that is really important. So thank you so much for that. Thank you, Mrs. Ward, for the amazing coordination of all of this and for your response on the fees, the admissions process for this September and obviously beyond September. Minnie, that was so helpful with the boarding experience. We've had such a rich 360 degrees insight and experience into Kent College, Pembury. So thank you so much for your time this morning. And to all our parents, there's a third question. Yes, you can get the recording. Yes, so it's actually currently being streamed on YouTube. And if you got the email about the event, we'll also send an email with the YouTube link. So yes, you will have access to the recording. And it's really nice that our parents want to watch this all over again. So I'm really pleased about that. So thank you to every parent who's been on this call. If you have any more questions that you would want to ask, I mean, I know sometimes we have parents who have daughters that have special needs and may find it a bit sensitive and don't want to ask online. Please feel free to send us an email. You will receive an email from us after this webinar. So please feel free to get in touch with us and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, for your time this morning. It's now coming up to afternoon for those of us here in the UK. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a fabulous Saturday evening with your family and your loved ones. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you, Kent College, Pembury. It has been worth every minute spent. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye to our parents. Thank you.